Hello, wonderful listeners. Welcome to the Life and Living It show. I'm your host, Michael Esson. And this is a space where we dive into life's big question. Together, we'll explore the beauty, the challenges, and the little things that make life worth living. Today, for our very first episode, I want to ask a question that's simple on the surface but incredibly deep. Why is our life worth? Yes, think about it for a second. Why do we get out of bed every day? What keeps us going through the highs and the lows of life? I believe our lives are worth because of three main pillars: family, friends, and colleagues. These are relationships that shape our purpose, bring us joy, and keep us grounded. Today we will break down and reflect how these connections make life rich and meaningful. I'll also share stories, practical examples, and give you with some thought-provoking questions. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's dive into it. Family, our first circle of meaning. Let's start with the most fundamental pillar, family. Now, when I say family, I'm not talking about people you are biologically related to, or only people you are biologically related to. Family can mean the people you consider your foundation, the ones who you've been through thin and thick with. Some people grew up in foster families, but the bond they have is enormous. For that reason, you can call people within such environment family, even though they are not biologically bounded. Let's go deeper. Family doesn't just shape who we are. They remind us why we matter. Imagine this. A child runs to their parent with a drawing in hand, beaming with pride. To the world, it's just a scribble. But to the parent, it's priceless. Why? Because it represents a connection, a love that transcends flaw or mistakes. Normally, what do parents do with such drawings? They keep them with pride. Well, I remember I was with a friend who showed me the first drawing of their child, and yeah, the pride he had talking about these scribbles was flawless. All I saw was just some markings of pen and some crayons on a paper. But he was able to read meaning into those scribble. And that showed the value of such a thing to a parent? Well, let me share some practical story. It's personal. Yeah, a few years ago, I was going through a really, really tough time. One of them might be self doubt, and others. You can just name it. I remember one evening, I got a call from one of my aunties. The first question she asked me is, "Are you eating well?" Obviously, I'm eating well. I'm healthy, running my errands, even though I have all these struggles. When she called, the first question she asked, "Are you eating well?" If it's not family, who would call and just ask the first question, "Are you eating well?" To anybody, it could be such a simple question. But at that moment, it feels like a lifeline. Why? It really shows how she cares. No matter what a bad thing that had happened within that particular moment, she really made me feel I wasn't alone. Consider this. A child who is worked hard, so hard through a school project, comes back home crying. The only reason is the child didn't understand the question, and for that reason, the project he or she made was a deviation to the question. And this happens to many people. This child had already bragged about the project she had at home to every classmate, making what they think they are making worthless. Surprisingly, she goes to school and realizes that what she did was worthless. Instead, the heartbreak, the confusion, the sorrow, the sadness, the tears that drops from her face. Disappointedly, she throws everything what she spent weeks making, she throws everything into the garbage. Goes home, run into her room, sit at one corner of the room, and start crying so hard. An uncle in the house goes to her and tell her it's not over. In life, you would have to fail. And how you come back from your failure will put you on the road to success. What the uncle did just make you see that there is some amount of care somewhere. And this shows that with family, you can always have something or have a lean hold onto onto. Well, during this discussion, I'm going to put some reflective questions out. Just take your time, reflect over every detail we have talked about or have discussed, and ponder on these questions. Answer for yourself first and see where you are. Now, the reflective questions. Just take a moment. Who in your family has been the anchor for you? Probably you might not understand them when we say who has been an anchor for you, like who has been a stronghold for you in your family. Also, who have you been an anchor for? So it's a give and a take, because just as your family members are part of your family, you are also a family, part of a family. So if someone has been an anchor for you, who have you been an anchor for? And if you are struggling to answer, could it be time to rebuild and redefine those connections? Just as we talk about the family as a perfect place to go when you are struggling, one thing I would want to let you know is the family is not the perfect place to be. If you can cast your mind back, in my introduction I talked about life being or having struggles. So there can be struggles in life. So in the family there can be mistakes, there can be misunderstanding. The family can be also a messy place to be. However, thinking about this, if the connection we have with our family is not the best, can we still have time to build and then redefine those connections? Because at the end of the day, they are your family. Well, at this point, I would like to talk about the second pillar, friends. I say friends are the family we choose. Friends are the family we choose. Why am I saying this? In a family where life begins, friends are the ones who make the journey more colorful. So I say family is our root. Family is our root. Friends are our wings. With friends, they make the journey or the life journey more colorful. I like to think friends as the family we choose. Why am I saying this? These are the people we see or who see us for who we are. The crooks or the cracks we have in ourselves, the faults we commit, the errors we make. But friends are the ones that stick around anyway. No matter how the situation goes, good, bad, friends are always there with us. Good friends don't just make us laugh, they remind us that we are worth loving even on our worst days. For real, if you have or you do not have a friend you can go to tell or lean on with your problems, you have to search for one. Seriously. Picture this. It's been a rough week at work. You get ready to a call or to call it a quit. You are so down. Out of the blue, your best friend texts you, let's grab dinner. Surprisingly, probably within that particular week, you've been, a friend of mine will always say, you've been on toasty and cheese. So you always put some cheese on bread and just put it on the toaster and eat. Surprisingly, you just get a text. Let's grab dinner. Some of the tests will come like, dinner is on me Friday night. Movies, Saturday night. Road trip, this weekend. The fact is, it could be the worst. One woman I talked to some time ago told me that if it was not her friends, she almost committed suicide. She was at the point, and the point she got was the point of no return. Suddenly, her friends makes an appearance and changes everything. She was struggling with work. She was struggling with personality issues. She almost called it a quit. But her friends were able to, in the medical field, resuscitate her thinking. The small gesture of reaching out can completely turn your day around, even your life. Why? Because it reminds you that someone cares. It reminds you that your presence matters to someone. It reminds you that you are not alone. Here's an example. A friend of mine, Frank, once organized a surprise party for one of our best friends who thought was left out because he was struggling to have his grades and to have his bachelor degree. At that time, he was feeling so down. His grades were going downhill. Life was also not going on well with him. So, he suggested we surprise him. When we gathered around, celebrating him and his hard work, the laughter, the cheering really resuscitated him. It brought him back to life again. He realized something profound. He realized we all need each other to feel seen, valued, and alive. Yes, friends can do more than what you might think. No doubt, I put friends on a level of the wings because they can help you fly through the rough and the smooth sailing wings. Now ask yourself, when was the last time a friend made you feel so good? Have you ever been kind, or have you ever been a kind friend to someone? Friendship, like plants, need nurturing. A quick call of or a heartfelt message can go a long way in reminding someone that they are not alone. Well, how do we cultivate great friendship? At this time, I will redirect you to Amazon store where you can find a copy of the book I wrote, Cultivating Deep Connections with Friends. In this book, I explain how to cultivate a good relationship with the people who we choose as our family, friends. I wouldn't like to talk about the book so much because then it will be spoiler alert. So I'll put the link below in the comments section and then you can check it out for yourself. You can grab the ebook, which is easier because you can read on any electronic appliance. Or best, you can also order the hard copy of a book and then you can see yourself through it. Well, we are getting close. Now, the third pillar, our colleagues. Well, just as we get close to this discussion, our colleagues, finding purpose in shared effort. Lastly, let's talk about our colleagues. I remember when I was talking about this, a friend of mine called my name. Says, Michael, my co-workers drive me crazy. I know you might be thinking, how is it possible my co-workers, my colleagues can make life worth living for me? Well, if your co-workers are driving you crazy, I know it's not fair. But bear with me. Work takes up a huge chunk of our lives. Um, I know various parts of the world we have various work shifts. Some work 12-hour shift, some 10-hour shift, some 8-hour shift. Help me, let's do the math. If you are doing an 8-hour shift and you are doing 40 hours in a week, it means you spend 40 hours in every week with your co-workers. If you would have to drive 20 minutes from home to work and 20 minutes back home, you cannot go to work precisely the time of your starting the start time of your shift. You have to be there at least half an hour, prepare, get settled before you start work. So let's put half an hour before and at least a quarter of an hour at the end. Sometimes it can be extended to 1 extra hour of your work shift with your colleagues. Knowing this, if we are lucky, our colleagues can make the time more than just clock in, clock out. They can make it meaningful. They can make it regretful. Think about it. When you achieve something at work, who is there to celebrate with you? The same co-workers who drive you crazy will be there to celebrate your achievements at work. I don't think your friends will come to your workplace to celebrate your promotion. Neither will your family do. It's your co-workers. When you face challenges at work, who helps you to brainstorm on the solution? It's not your family. Neither is it your friends. It's your co-workers. Yes, our co-workers can make life really, really worth living. Well, at this point, you might be thinking, but I don't have a good connection with my co-workers. Well, very soon, one of my new books will be coming out, Life with a Co-worker, The Bittersweet Experience. Life with a Co-worker, The Bittersweet Experience. That will be the book coming out very soon, still in the writing process. Well, life with our co-workers can be challenging. But when we are able to navigate through the thin, thick layer, life with our co-workers becomes not the drive me crazy, but the fun and most of all, the best time of our lives. We spend much time with our co-workers more than we spend with our family, more than we spend with our friends, relatively. Therefore, these people will help us to face life challenges more easier than we can even think of. One time, we worked as a team. We were working on a project. We were under tight deadline and tensions were very high. Suddenly, something amazing happened. I wouldn't like to mention the name. But the tension on the project's deadline was so high, anger started arising in among us in the team. Surprisingly, instead of turning on each other, we came together, and the amused thing happened. We were able to finish on time. A good solution came out of that stressful moment because we worked as a team. Later that night, we spent time after working hours to laugh, encourage, and then we shared some snacks. When we finally finished and presented the whole project, the accomplishment was amplified because we had done it together. The spirit of working together as a team among co-workers is the best we can ever find in a lifetime. Yes, colleagues remind us that the power of teamwork and the shared goals are even. On a hard day, they even show us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. Think of this. Your work life, who your colleagues are, can be more worth living than the devastation. Now, my question to you is, who are the colleagues that lift you up? And who are those that contribute to more positive and collaborative environment? How can you turn a stressful situation at work to a more enjoying and life worth environment for yourself and for your colleagues? Who among your colleagues can you call your best friend? And do you have one? Have you opened up to also become the best colleague and a team player to others at your workplace? Well, we've covered a lot today: family, friends, and colleagues. Each plays a unique role in making life worth living. But here's the thing: relationships aren't automatic. That is one thing we should know, that the relationship we are to make are not automatic. Relationships require effort. They require vulnerability and sometimes forgiveness. The question is, are you investing enough in these three pillars? Before we wrap up this show, I want to leave you with 3 questions to think of. And I'm going to do this almost in every episode when we talk about. The first question is, who in your life make you feel most valued? And have you told them recently? Second, how do you nurture your friendship? How do you nurture your friendship to keep them strong? The third one, at work, what steps can you take to build a better relationship with your colleagues? At the workplace, what steps can you take to build a better relationship with your colleagues? Yeah, you can choose to write these down and then think about it. If you are listening with a friend, you can also ask yourself, or listen with someone, you can ask yourself these questions and try to find answers. In our next episode of the Life and Living It show, we are going to look at the flip side of today's discussions. The problems that make life difficult to live. Yes. Those same pillars, friends, family, and colleagues, can sometimes cause pain, stress, and even isolation. Why does it happen? And how can we address it? Well, we will explore family conflict, toxic relationship or friendship, and a workplace challenge. But don't worry. We will also discuss solutions and ways to rebuild, reconcile, and find a balance. Now the time has come. Thank you very much for tuning in on this first episode. Remember this: your life is worth living because of the connections you build. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other. This is Michael Esson, signing off from the Life and Living It show.